Welcome into Shot and Vipp, a podcast brought to you by Inside Carolina this football season. As always, I'm Taylor Vippolis hosting this, and I'm joined by my former teammate, former Carolina linebacker, just an overall great guy. I love my Sundays because I get the chance to spend some time with him, Geoff Schoettmer. Shot, don't let this Carolina team get hot. It's two complete performances in back-to-back games. They go on the road to Tallahassee. They beat Florida State 35-11. The Seminoles were really never in this game. What were your thoughts watching it?
Before I talk about this game, Vipp, I want to give a shout-out to my boy Nick Weiler. I got to get a tomahawk chop in there. All week, the group chats are buzzing. We're playing Florida State, and obviously, that memory comes up for all Tar Heel fans across the world. So even my aunt sent it to me. I didn't play in that game. That was the first year after I graduated. But still one of your best friends, and he has a moment like that. And we had such a huge victory. That memory that comes across Twitter every time we play Florida State. It's always a good one. So
Carolina's last win against Florida State.
It was 2016. Yep. Because we lost in 2020 and 2021, which I was a part of the staff. So I guess they made the right decision. And since I'm no longer there, we can beat Florida State, I guess. Hey, good for Mac, getting his first win against his alma mater. So kudos to him. But, what a complete football game. Back-to-back weeks. We're playing really good ball. I think this is what the entire fan base and, even the team itself expected our team to play like this. Like these last 2 weeks have been just complimentary football, offense, defense, special team, everyone, all sides of the ball pitching in to contribute to a great victory. The thing that stood out to me in this game was we really whooped ass in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Offense and defensive line controlled that game. And, for the first time really all year, I saw our D-line, let's say it's Ritzy who's playing the 3 technique and he's up against the guard on a simple zone run. Like he's defending his gap, shedding the blocker, and hitting the running back at the line of scrimmage. We haven't seen a bunch of that this year, but we looked really, really good on both sides of the ball this game. Before I get into too many players, I want to talk about our special teams cover units. If you show me a good football team, I'll show you their special teams tapes, and they cover kicks at a great clip. We had our punt unit running down with their hair on fire, our kickoff unit. We had a great kickoff return by McCollum that set up, I think, a long touchdown drive. But if you're a backup safety or a linebacker, that's how you make your money. And I saw Caleb Bavali, I saw Michael Short, I saw Ziegler. All three of those guys made plays on kickoff or punt coverage units in the first quarter, and that sets the tone for the team. So that should not go overlooked because we haven't been great on special teams the last couple of years. But we always know we're going to have a great punt returner in Huzzy. He's the most sure-handed guy we got. He's going to make a big play when the ball's in his hands. Nate McCollum's turned into a pretty good kickoff returner. And if we're covering kicks like that and our operations are good on field goal and punt, like that is just such an added weapon, for our team. So kudos to them. We tackled great on defense again. I'd be interested to see the PFF numbers this week because I'm sure they're 7 or below. Last week I think we had 4 or 5 missed tackles, which is a great number in today's age of college football. Beau Atkinson was a man possessed in the first half. He set the tone. 3.5 sacks, whatever he had, he couldn't be blocked, and he was fun to watch. Another thing I noticed on defense is how we fit the gap scheme run so much better and so much more sound. We've been exploited on gap scheme plays, whether it's a power play or a counter play. Our linebackers were great with their eyes. They were fitting everything up, boxing and spilling when they needed to. So that was great to see. A cool thing to me, honestly, was we get stopped on 4th and goal in the first quarter, and we don't let it phase us. Our offense goes down the next possession, they get the ball and score. So, they just, exercise those demons, and it was great to see them, face a little adversity and bounce back. We converted a ton of tough downs on offense in the first half, both with Criswell, extending plays with his legs, some with his arm, obviously handing the ball to Hampton a few times. Like we were great on third down. We obviously won the turnover battle. There was very few penalties in the game. Like, I could keep naming all these stats, like every single stat that a coach, goes into the game with and says, hey, these are the keys to victory, and lists, 5 to 7 stats that we need to win the game. We won all of them. I'm sure that meeting on Sunday was so fun for everyone involved, because Coach Brown's in the team room at 2:00 today. He's going through the list of keys to victory, and he's saying UNC check after each one of them. Whether it's turnovers, penalties, time of possession, red zone, fourth down, third down, critical situation execution, 2 minutes before the half, the first drive out of the second half, like everything was right on point. And, we've been very critical at times of the team this year, rightfully so. And when they play like this, I want to give everyone so much credit involved, because they deserve it. Coach Brown has kept this team together over the last month, because it has been a rough one for UNC fans, for players, for everyone involved. And the fact that we put our 2 best performances back to back after, what happened over the last 4 to 6 weeks is a testament to him and that coaching staff, and the players just having this, determined will to fight through adversity. And I couldn't be more proud of these guys. They look like a legit team. And, I said it last week. I was like, with our 4 remaining games, if we play like we did versus Virginia, we should win all 4. And I will be highly disappointed if we lose 1 or more. And right now, like, if we play like this, we're going to be favored in every game, every remaining game we play, and we should finish the season 8-4. But obviously, we take it a week at a time. And if we, keep our foot on the gas, but damn, that was a fun game to watch. It really was. Yeah. Here's the other thing. Everyone's like, oh, Florida State is so bad. Yes, they are bad, but what do teams do to bad teams? Good teams do to bad teams. They beat the hell out of them.
Yeah.
We didn't give them any life. We win by 24 or whatever it was, but sometimes in those games our defense gets a little sloppy at the end of the game when the game's out of hand, but we kept our foot on their necks, and you win by 4 possessions. Like, that's what you're supposed to do to a 1-7, 1-8 team. So kudos to everyone involved in our staff, and super proud of those guys. It was a great win.
Yeah, Florida State cut it to 21-11, and their players doing the gritty down in the end zone, and then Carolina responds the next drive, a 7-play, 75-yard touchdown drive that ends with Omarion Hampton rushing it in on a 4th and goal from the 1, and it kind of showed the growth from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, where Carolina was able to get the tough yardage and punch one home in the red zone situations. And like you kind of said, these are the podcasts that are so fun to do when you have a checklist of what a team has to accomplish, and everything that could possibly be on it, you hit it. Carolina was 11 of 16 on third down opportunities. The missed tackles, so they missed 5 missed tackles in the game last week against Virginia. Against Florida State, 3. The number is down to 3. Omarion Hampton himself had 6 missed tackles forced. So one player on Carolina had more missed tackles forced than their defense had missed tackles throughout a 4-quarter football game. Really unbelievable. I think starting with Hampton, because when you look at what he's doing and the numbers he's putting up, he rushes for 172 yards. He has 93 receiving yards. That's one of the things we talked about in the last podcast, kind of making up for Bryson Nesbitt and trying to get him more involved. When he's in the game, he's essentially touching the ball every play. The first Tar Heel to have 5 touchdowns in a game since 1981. The 4th time that a Tar Heel had 5 or more touchdowns in a game. Carolina averaged 5.3 yards per carry. This is something I tweeted out during the game. We're in the home stretch of the appreciating Omarion Hampton, because we're recording this on a Sunday. Next year, he's going to be on one of these teams playing on Sundays. How do you kind of put into words what he's doing and how effortless he's doing it? Because I think one of the plays that kind of shows that is the like shovel play where he catches it. He doesn't really do a ton of juke moves. It's just straight line speed, make a cut, gone.
He has no weaknesses, Vipp. And, over the last 2 years, we got bored talking about Drake May, and that's how it is with Hampton. We could talk about him for 20 minutes a podcast because he does everything a successful football player should do. He runs hard. He's super talented. He's an unbelievable pass blocker. He's great in space. He's got a good burst. He finishes through contact. He never takes a play off. He doesn't make boneheaded plays. He's sure-handed. Like, I don't know how you can knock that kid. Like, what are talent evaluators for the NFL going to say about him? Okay, yes, he's not a 4.3. He's probably a high 4.4 guy, but once he gets in the open field, no one's tackling him. And he's durable. Like, you can hand him the ball 30 times, and he gets stronger as the game goes on. So I love, and we'll talk about it later in the podcast, how we're using him in the pass game because he's a weapon in that sense. When he gets the ball with space, he is even tougher to bring down. Because not only does he have legit, quickness and wiggles, but, if you get a safety with him 5 yards away, like he doesn't have enough force to bring Hampton down. Because once Hampton gets going, he's breaking arm tackles and running through people. And you saw on a couple of those plays, especially the shovel pass, where he's just wiggling in and out of the Florida State defense, and then he has great vision, sees a crease, puts his foot north and south, and then has the speed to run by everybody. So he's getting his flowers. Our social media, like, he's rightfully deserved. I think 7 games over 100 yards, over 3,000 in his career. 34 touchdowns in his career. Like, he should be an All-American running back. Him and the kid from Boise State are probably having the 2 best seasons of any running back in college football. And he is bringing the attitude. More importantly, he's bringing the attitude to our football team. He fires up our offensive line because they want to block their asses off for him because they know how hard Hampton runs. And also, he's setting the tone for the running backs behind him. You watch those other guys get in the game, and they're trying to keep up with Hampton, so they're running just as hard as he is. So he's one of those players that former players like ourselves are like, I wish I got to play with him. That's the ultimate sign of respect you can give to a current player is,
I don't wish I was on a scout team against him, but
yeah, Vipp, you might be on the IR. But he's one of those guys that every football player, you could be unbiased and not be a North Carolina fan, but when you turn on the TV and watch that guy play, you're like, if I was an offensive lineman, I'd love to block for him. Or if I'm a receiver, I'd love to block for him. Quarterback, I'd love to hand him the ball. And even on the defensive side, like, defensive guys feed off that. I know Power Eccles and Kaimon Rucker are on the sideline and they're watching Hampton, run for 6, 7, 8 yards a clip and break a big one. And they're like, 1, it gives them more of a break. 2, it injects that, that physicality and that confidence in the team. So I can't say enough good things about him,
Yeah, I love when Carolina football breaks into kind of like the national media coverage. And they've had that recently with Drake May, with Sam Howell, where people are watching the games and being like, wow, that's a lot of talent. And then they obviously start the year slow, but you're starting to see that more with Omarion Hampton and the numbers that he's putting up. National guys being like, hey, when you're talking about the NFL draft coming up, you have to talk about the kid in Chapel Hill and what Hampton is doing for the Tar Heels. And I think it's not talked enough about. We talk about the run that Carolina has had at the quarterback position, where you go from, TJ to Bryn to Queese to Trubisky to Sam Howell, Drake May. The running backs have almost been just as strong, where you go from Gio and Elijah, TJ Logan, Javonte Williams, Michael Carter, Ty Chandler. And now we're talking about Omarion Hampton as being one of these next backs in the line. But we're also seeing at the quarterback position, one of the things that we've consistently said since Jacolby Criswell has become a starter is that Criswell at quarterback can win you games. I'm not too confident in the first 2 quarterbacks we said in being able to say that. Criswell, more than enough talent to win you games. And now what you're seeing from him is this improvement week to week where he's commanding the offense. He finishes 13 of 17 against Florida State with 211 yards, 1 touchdown, 8 carries for 18 yards. What are you seeing from him? Because it feels like his poise is growing week to week, and he's becoming. We're watching a player become a better quarterback.
He just looks like he's in complete control of the game. Not just looks, he is in complete control of the game. He was a net neutral when he first started out. Now he's a net positive. He is making winning plays to help our team. And just something as simple as his internal clock of the rush has gotten so good. You know, I remember a play in the first quarter. It's a 5-out protection. So the running back is going to the flats right on the play. He's not pass blocking. So the quarterback knows, okay, I have less time to block less time to throw because I just have the 5 offensive line blocking for me. And I have all my eligible receivers out on the route. So I got to get the ball out of my hand. And I watched him go. He looked left, looked right, looked to a check down. All of it was covered, and he took off running and got 3 or 4 yards. Like, that is such a positive play that in the stat sheet, it doesn't look great, but like, that is a winning football play. And he's doing that at a great clip right now. He's processing his reads. He's making accurate throws. What I love from him is his third down poise is unbelievable. He's making great decisions on third down. He hit a couple third and longs. One I remember on the sideline to Copenhagen, threw a great back shoulder ball on 3rd and 10. He threw a great one to Paceauer. He extended a third down with his legs early in the second half to get us momentum. He's not having turnover worthy plays. He's not throwing the ball where Florida State can make a play defensively. He's keeping it tight in the pocket. He's not letting rushers get a hand on it. I can't say that he's just playing so efficiently right now. He's completing 80% of his passes in the last 2 games and obviously getting the ball in the end zone. And he looks like he's got a good leadership element too. Like, the guys are rallying around him. They respect him. He's obviously worked hard to get control of the team over the last couple of weeks, because it's not easy for a guy that, he probably didn't get many reps in late in training camp once he was the 3rd string guy. And for him to grow this quickly, it's his talent is really showing up. So he's doing a great job.
Yeah, the play I had starred that I also have right in front of me right now. It's the second quarter with 2:50 left. It's probably the one you're talking about, to Paceauer, where he steps up in the pocket. He's rolling right. The line of scrimmage is, let me see. It's about like the 24, and he's rolling and he throws the ball from the 35 on his back foot, and he throws a seed to the 10-yard line to Jacolby Criswell to complete the first down on a 2nd and 10. And this is kind of like what we were talking about, where you're watching the first 2 games and you're like, I don't see a quarterback that can make all the throws necessary to win games. Criswell, he has the arm talent. It's just getting him up to speed with everything else. And he comes into training camp. He's the 3 in training camp. Probably doesn't think his time is really going to come. Very quickly realizes, oh wait, this is my time. Let me capitalize on this moment. And I think it's going to be interesting going into this offseason, where especially how Carolina finishes, because quarterback is the biggest question mark in college football. And early, it would have seemed like Carolina would have been aggressive in the transfer portal, depending on Max Johnson coming back from an injury and depending on how Criswell finished the season. But what I've seen the past 2-3 weeks, especially the past 2 weeks, you have a quarterback that is a plus at the Power 4 level. So I think that will be interesting to watch as the season unfolds. But a quick break so we can remind everybody about our friends over at Johnny T-Shirt. If you're going to be in Chapel Hill, you could visit Johnny T-Shirt on Franklin Street. And if not, no worries. You can go online to johnnytshirt.com. They have everything that the Carolina fan could possibly want: the hats, the T-shirts, the jerseys, you name it, they've got it. The best Carolina apparel. It's great people, great customer service. And don't forget, Inside Carolina premium subscribers save 10% off their orders. Shot, I have a stat now that we're switching sides of the ball to talk some defense. This is the first time that UNC has held back-to-back opponents to fewer than 300 yards on the road since 2007. What has been the biggest change in the Carolina defense the past 2 weeks?
I just think it starts with the D-line. We are playing with our hair on fire on the D-line. We're not playing, those starters aren't playing 90% of the game, so they're fresh. We got Rucker back, obviously. We're winning. We're getting sacks without having to pressure. So to send 5, 6, 7 guys, we're getting sacks on 3 and 4 man rushes. And that is one of the best luxuries that you can have in college football, because if you send 3 or 4 guys, then that maximizes your numbers and coverage. So we're able to, have spies on the quarterback. We're able to, double receivers. We're able to have a rat safety in the hole to help crossers. Like that is truly what's helped us a bunch. In the run game, we've just tackled better, and we fit gap scheme runs better. So, I wish I could pull up a play to show you guys, but there was Georgia Tech exploited us on guard tackle counter, meaning they pulled the guard and tackle on the same side across the other line to the other side of the line of scrimmage, and we could not fit that up to save our lives in the Georgia Tech game. That was the game. They ran that play to get the game-winning touchdown late in the game, and FSU ran that a bunch, and we completely fixed it. We changed our scheme. What we did was we had our defensive end to the side of the guard tackle pull. He just chased straight to the mesh point and would tackle the running back in the backfield. And so if the quarterback sees that, he's going to pull it, and now the linebacker replaces. So schematically, we fixed up the gap scheme issues. So that's been great to see. And another little tweak that we've done, and I saw it a bunch on third down this week, is what we're doing is we're playing man coverage on, third and long, third and medium, and we're walking power echoes up over the center. Okay, so when we do that, we are dictating the protection of the offensive line. So when power walks up over the center, and we have our other 4 defensive linemen with the other 4 offensive linemen, that's called 5-0 protection, meaning the center is now responsible, man blocking power, the guard is blocking the 2-3 techniques, and the tackles are blocking the 2 edge guys. And what he's doing is he's occupying the center long enough that he has to, block him. And then we're running twist games with our 2 other players on both sides of the center, and it's just allowing one-on-one rushes always. And then power just drops off and takes the back man. And I hope Jason Staple does some breakdowns of that, because that has been very efficient for us, because we're running man coverage and we're wasting a blocker, and now we're just getting 4 one-on-ones with the guard and tackles, and our defensive line is rushing very well right now. So we're kind of wasting blockers on the offense. So good for Collins figuring that out. We used to run that with Coach Bateman a bunch, and it's such a simple fix of just walking up an extra linebacker and then having the center account for him. So that was something to me. Let's see what else. We played the quarterback run pretty well. There was a couple times where he got outside when the backup went in, he got outside on some rushes and escaped and made a first down or 2. But all in all, we're playing sound coverage. I think Coach Collins had 1 bad play call that game. And the bad play call was the cover 0 pressure all out blitz on third down when FSU got their only touchdown. We're in man across the board with no safety help, and Caleb Koss is covering their slot. And we didn't get enough pressure on the quarterback, and it's an easy pitch and catch for, a go route that he just runs right by Caleb Koss. But other than that, we're tackling well, we're fitting up runs well, we're running to the ball, we're making plays when the ball gets tipped. Hardy had a great interception. Huzzy had a great interception. Obviously, we missed one on the first drive with Jakeem Harris. That should have been an easy pick, but we're making opportune plays. We're rallying to the ball. Our tackling angles are better. So this looks like the defense that we all talked about this offseason of, we're going to be and we're not even being uber aggressive. We're just winning up front and allowing, the back end to play more sound coverage. So it's a fun sight to see. And I think we're just going to continue to build on it, because now our defense is getting confidence, and confidence is one of the most, amazing things that you can have as an athlete is once you start gaining confidence, you just keep plugging along from there. So our defense should be playing, or, should be very proud of themselves. Our coaches have done a great job in that regard. So, you can't argue with 16 sacks in 2 weeks.
Yep.
That's stats speak for themselves sometimes, and it doesn't matter how you get them, but we're getting to the quarterback. We're affecting him. Even when we're not sacking him, we're in his face and we're making him, deliver at awkward angles and throw the ball through tight windows. So, good ball all around.
Yeah. Jakeem Harris is sick because that's when you start hearing the jokes of like, that's why he plays defense, right?
No doubt.
When it hits you square in the chest between the numbers.
No doubt.
But yeah, Carolina 3.8 sacks per game this season, or 3.56 sacks per game this season, 5th in the country. Only Boise State, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and San Diego State have more sacks per game. And especially with what we were talking about last year and Carolina's inability to rush the passer, it seems like if you have Rucker in there, this defense is going to be a defense that can get after quarterbacks. And then when you talk about Rucker, the other person who deserves a mention, Beau Atkinson, plays 21 snaps against Florida State. Maybe the most effective 21 snaps that's ever been played for Carolina football, where he finishes with 5 tackles, 4.5 tackles for a loss, 3.5 sacks. What could you tell us about Beau Atkinson and what makes him a special player on the defensive line?
The first 2 things that stick out to me are his size and his motor. He's a legit 6'5", 6'6". He's grown into his body. He's put on some weight. He's powerful, but he plays with this relentless motor, which is probably the number one attribute you want in a defensive lineman. Turn on Max Crosby's tape in the NFL. That guy plays with his hair on fire every snap, and so does Beau Atkinson. And he's reaping the rewards of his hard work. He's in the right place at the right time. He's getting meaningful reps, and he's making those count. And the other thing that's impressive about him is he's athletic enough when he gets to the quarterback, he's getting him on the ground. You'll see a lot of times where a quick offense or a quick defensive lineman beats his the guard or tackle trying to block him right away, and he gets to the quarterback and the quarterback eludes him because he's not athletic enough to bring him down. But Beau has done a great job of doing that. There's one of his sacks, he's trailing from behind, the quarterback's rolling out, and he does like a gator tackle where he lays out and clips his legs and gets the sack. So he's getting sacks. The other impressive one was we had a 3-man rush, 8-man drop, and Beau just whips the tackle on an up and under move, within 1 second of the snap. And so he's winning with quickness, he's winning with power, he's winning with effort, he's winning with length. He's a guy that's, we knew he was going to be a good player, but now he's putting it all together. So, that stat line is crazy.
Beau Atkinson he's tied for a team high 6.5 sacks this year with Javari Ritzie. 4 players on the North Carolina defense have 5 or more sacks: Atkinson, Ritzie, Campbell, and Rucker. The coordinators. We talked a bit about Geoff Collins and some of what he did schematically. Chip Lindsey, I think a lot of the times an offensive coordinator can take a lot of the heat for why an offense doesn't do well. But we've talked about wanting to give people their flowers. The coordinators for Carolina the past 2 weeks have put the team in winning positions.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I obviously talked about Geoff Collins, but I thought Chip Lindsey called a great game. I think maybe he had one bad call, and that was maybe on the first drive where we're down inside the 1 or 2 and we get everyone bunched together. I hate when we do that, when we have all 11 guys within a 10-yard radius. And I like, especially when you have Hampton back there, space people out and let him find a little crease, because if he gets one-on-one with anybody, he's gonna run through him. The only hope of knocking Hampton down for a tackle for loss in a situation like that is, if they get penetration or, there's so many bodies and congested in there that it's hard to run. But he called a great game. What I loved is he did not get tired of feeding Hampton the ball. We've seen in times past where Hampton's had some success and he's gone away from him, but Coach Lindsey made it a concerted effort to give Hampton the ball in every which way. Handing him the ball out of the backfield, throwing it to him in the screen game, doing the shovel pass to him, getting him running wheel routes with him. That was he called a great game. He got Pacehour involved in the game. Pacehour looks healthy again. I think he's our most talented receiver, or he's been the most productive when he's healthy. JJ Jones has played well the last couple of weeks, but Pacehour, he's got a quickness to him. He's a big slot receiver, so he had some good catches. We got our tight ends involved again. Copenhaver had some good catches. Johnson had a catch. But I think what he's doing is just calling the game simply for Criswell to be able to process it well, and he's not putting too much on his plate. He's mixing up the run and the pass, and he's not getting too cute at times. He's just, if he hands the ball on 1st and 10 to Hampton on a simple, whether it's a zone play or a gap scheme play, and we get 6 yards, well, he's lining back up and running that same play, because the defense is probably going to be in the same call. We blocked it well the first time, and obviously Hampton's falling forward every time he runs the ball. So he didn't get tired of feeding him. And, obviously we score 35 points, and, that's a great number for our offense. You look at the stats throughout the year, and now we're a top 30 offense in the country. And I don't think anyone expected that going into the season, and especially being on your third quarterback. So, like I said, we've been critical of times this year, and, when he's calling a great game, we have to shout it from the rooftops, because he called a hell of a game.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why Carolina was able to have so much success is because Lindsey put the team in positions to have 3rd and manageables, 3rd and shorts. And the other point I had with Hampton plays 54 snaps. He gets 35 touches. So when Hampton's in the game, he touched the ball 65% of the time. So there's very little surprise if you see 28 in the game. What the game plan is going to be, and it's also impressive when a team knows what you're going to try to do, what your 1, 2, and 3 game plan is in terms of giving the ball back to 28, and a team just not being able to stop it. All right, let's take a quick break so I can remind everybody about our friends over at Congruity. Congruity is the leading provider for Tar Heel business owners, payroll, HR, and employee benefit needs. Inside Carolina listeners can get a free payroll and HR assessment by emailing Matt at Congruity. Email is matt@congruityhr.com. That email again is matt@congruityhr.com. All right, let's get back to the episode. I think that does kind of speak to the renewed confidence that this team is playing with, where you're watching this team the past 2 weeks, and if I show you the game from James Madison or I show you the game from Georgia Tech, you would, if you remove the logos, you would have no idea that these were the same 2 teams playing. What have you seen with this team playing freely and playing confident?
They're playing free. They're playing with joy. They're having fun. They're playing, to win and not to lose. It's just such a different mindset. It's just, I feel like we're just so much more positive from all aspects, from the coaches to the players to just this overall joy we have. Mac looks happier. Obviously, the fun is in the winning, but we're not letting things affect us. Like JMU, for example, we get down and everyone's hanging their head and pointing fingers and stuff. In the opening drive, we go down, don't score a touchdown, and there's no finger pointing. It's just like, all right, we know what we got to do. We're going to get the ball back and score next time. And it's just, I don't know what it is. I think we're embracing the fight of Ty Lee, and it's motivated our guys, and it's been such a joy to watch. I mean, I think any Carolina fan can see that. It's very obvious. And the other thing is our special teams are more impactful. Like when you get the whole team involved, when the backups are playing, like look in the fourth quarter of this game, our whole backup offense and defense is in the game, in the fourth quarter, because we're up 24 points. So more people are getting into the game, more people are making plays. Our superstars are obviously performing, but some of the lesser known guys like like Atkinson and Hardy, and those guys are making plays. And then we got young backups on special teams making tackles. So everyone's getting involved, and they're high-fiving each other, butt taps. It's a good energy right now, and I think fans and coaches are probably kicking themselves like, damn, why couldn't we tap into this earlier? Because this is what our team should have looked like all year. But I'm glad they found it, and we just got to keep riding this train because it's been a joy to watch.
A bye week coming up this week for Carolina. Their second bye in 3 weeks. So we'll see if when they come back from that, if they're able to sustain that momentum. Carolina back in action Saturday, November 16th at home against Wake Forest. We'll be back to break down that game as always. Shotman, appreciate the time and appreciate everybody watching and listening.
Appreciate everybody, and say a prayer for your boy Vipp. His Yankees obviously had a tough one this week, and they're about to lose a couple of players to free agencies. Soto already said after the game he's gone, so poor Vipp. He had his one chance to win a World Series, and things are looking bleak. But Carolina football is on the up right now, so I guess that's a good
it's like
substitute.
a pendulum. Yeah, my teams can never be all riding high or going in the same direction all at once. It's kind of a give and a take. So right now with the Yankees, I'm giving a lot more than I'm taking.
For sure. Appreciate it, everybody.
Perfect.
Nice.